Marcus Chen's hands trembled as he pushed the industrial mop across the marble floor of Vertex Technologies' executive suite at 6 a.m. 3 months ago, he'd been a senior project manager at a competing firm with a corner office and a six-figure salary. Now, at 42, he was grateful for any job that kept his daughter Emily fed and in school after the embezzlement charges he didn't commit, destroyed everything he'd built over 2 decades. The real thief, his former partner David Brennan, had vanished to the Cayman Islands with $12 million while Marcus took the fall, his reputation shattered, his savings drained by legal fees, his wife gone, leaving him alone with a sick child. "You missed a spot." The voice cut through the silence like ice shattering. Marcus looked up to see Victoria Shaw, the CEO whose reputation preceded her like a storm warning. At 38, she'd built Vertex from nothing into a tech empire worth $3 billion, and the business magazines loved calling her ruthless and unforgiving. Her dark eyes held no warmth as she gestured to a barely visible smudge near her office door. She wore an immaculate black suit that probably cost more than Marcus made in 3 months. Her posture rigid, her expression carved from stone. "Yes, sorry, Marcus quickly remopped the area, keeping his head down, making himself smaller. He couldn't afford to lose this job. Emily's medication cost $3,000 a month, and his health insurance wouldn't kick in for another 60 days. Until then, he was paying out of pocket, watching his last few $1,000s evaporate like morning fog. Victoria said nothing, just turned on her heel and disappeared into her office, the door closing with a definitive click that seemed to echo through the empty hallway. Marcus exhaled slowly, his shoulders sagging. He'd learned to make himself invisible over these past 3 months. It was the only way to survive in places where people once called him by his first name and now pretended not to recognize him. Former colleagues who saw him in public crossed the street. Old friends stopped returning calls. In the court of public opinion, accused was the same as guilty. The morning passed in a blur of trash bins, recycling, and the monotonous routine of making sure everything sparkled. Marcus cleaned 12 executive offices, 3 conference rooms, 2 break rooms, and 4 bathrooms before his shift supervisor gave him the nod. At noon, Marcus took his lunch break in the parking garage, eating a peanut butter sandwich in his 15-year-old Honda Civic with 200,000 miles on it. The car made worrying sounds, but he couldn't afford repairs. Everything went to Emily now. His phone buzzed. The school. Marcus's heart stopped. "Mr. Chen, Emily had another episode. Her heart rate spiked to 180 during recess. We've called an ambulance. She's conscious but weak." His daughter's heart condition was worsening with terrifying speed. The experimental treatment she needed wasn't covered by any insurance, and the wait list at the public hospital was 18 months long. Emily didn't have 18 months. Marcus had already sold everything of value. His wife's jewelry, his watch collection, even his wedding ring after the divorce. There was nothing left except this job and the desperate hope that somehow, somewhere, a miracle would appear. He made it to St. Mary's Hospital in 12 minutes, breaking every speed limit. Emily, small for her 9 years with her mother's delicate features and his dark eyes, lay in the ER bed with monitors beeping around her like electronic heartbeats. Her face lit up when she saw him despite the oxygen mask covering her nose and mouth. "Daddy, I'm okay," she said, her voice muffled but trying to sound brave. "Don't worry. I'm a fighter, remember." But Marcus saw the truth in Dr. Patel's eyes when the cardiologist gestured him into the hallway. His little fighter was losing this battle. "Mr. Chen, we need to discuss treatment options immediately," Dr. Patel said gently, her compassion evident but unable to soften the brutal facts. "Emily's condition is deteriorating faster than we anticipated. The mitral valve is failing, and her heart is enlarging. Without the surgery, I'd say she has maybe 4 months, possibly less. With it, her prognosis is excellent, near complete recovery, normal life expectancy, everything a 9-year-old deserves." "How much?" Marcus's voice sounded hollow in his own ears. $350,000. There's a specialist in Boston, Dr. James Richardson, who pioneered this particular procedure. His success rate is 98%, but he doesn't accept insurance, and the surgery needs to happen within the next 6 weeks. Marcus stopped listening. 350,000 might as well have been 350 million. He made $14 an hour as a janitor. Even if he never ate, never paid rent, never bought gas, he'd need over 6 years to save that much before taxes. "I understand this is overwhelming," Dr. Patel continued. "There are some charitable organizations that help with pediatric cardiac cases. I can give you the applications." "How long do those take?" Dr. Patel's silence was answer enough. Marcus sat with Emily for 3 hours, reading her favorite book about a brave princess who saved herself, holding her hand, memorizing her face because the thought of losing her was a darkness he couldn't bear to enter. She dozed off around 4 p.m., and the nurses assured him they'd call if anything changed. He had to go back to work. Missing a shift meant losing pay he desperately needed. That evening, he returned to Vertex to finish his second shift. The building was nearly empty at 8 p.m., just a few workaholics in their offices and the security guard in the lobby. As he cleaned the executive conference room, he found a folder on the table. Financial projections marked confidential in red letters. He should have just put it aside for the morning administrative assistant, but one number caught his eye as he picked it up. The amount they were budgeting for Employee Wellness and Hardship Fund, $5 million. Money sitting there, waiting to help employees, while his daughter died because he was too new to qualify. That's private. Marcus spun around, nearly dropping the folder. Victoria Shaw stood in the doorway, still wearing the same black suit from that morning, her expression harder than the marble floors he'd been mopping for 12 hours. "I'm sorry, I was just putting it aside." "Just what?" "Planning to sell corporate secrets." Her voice was sharp, accusatory, each word a blade. "I know who you are, Marcus Chen. Did you think I don't vet my employees, even janitors? Especially janitors who have access to every office in this building." Marcus felt the blood drain from his face. "I wasn't reading anything confidential. I was cleaning, and the folder was just there. You were accused of embezzling $12 million from your previous employer. Charges still pending. And now I find you reading confidential financial documents in an empty building after hours." Victoria's laugh was bitter, devoid of any warmth. "Do you think I'm stupid?" "My daughter is sick," Marcus said, his voice cracking despite his efforts to stay calm. "I saw the Employee Hardship Fund number and for just 1 second, I hoped, that maybe there was help available. That's all. I wasn't stealing anything. I would never." "You thought you'd help yourself to company money." Victoria stepped closer, her heels clicking against the marble like a countdown. "That's exactly what embezzlers say. Security will escort you out. You're fired. Effective immediately. And if I find anything missing, anything at all, I'll make sure those pending charges become convictions." Marcus felt the world tilting beneath him, the floor seeming to drop away. "Please. Ms. Shaw, please. I have a 9-year-old daughter with a heart condition. She needs surgery. I need this job. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I swear on my daughter's life. Don't." Victoria's voice turned to ice. "Don't use your sick child to manipulate me. I've heard every sob story, every excuse. People think if they can just make me feel something, I'll fold. I didn't build a $3 billion company by being soft. Get out. Now." The security guard appeared as if summoned, a large man named Rodriguez who'd always been kind to Marcus during night shifts. Even he looked uncomfortable now as he gestured toward the elevator. "Come on, Marcus. Let's make this easy." Marcus nodded numbly, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. This was it. No job meant no medication money. No medication meant Emily had weeks, not months. He'd failed her. Failed the one person who depended on him completely. The security guard walked Marcus to his locker in the basement janitor's closet. As he gathered his few belongings, a spare shirt, his lunch container, a photo of Emily from last year when she was healthy and smiling, his phone rang. The school again. Marcus's heart hammered. "Mr. Chen, everything's fine," the school nurse said quickly. "Emily's stable. But she asked us to call. She says it's urgent. She's been trying to remember something all week, and it finally came to her." "What is it?" Marcus asked, his mind spinning with catastrophic possibilities. "She says she remembers where she knows Ms. Shaw from." "Victoria Shaw, your employer? Emily saw her name on your work badge last week when you picked her up, and it's been bothering her. She says Ms. Shaw was the lady from the car accident. 4 years ago." The locker room disappeared. Marcus was suddenly standing on Highway 101 in the pouring rain, October 17th, 4 years ago. He'd been driving Emily home from her piano lesson when they witnessed a terrible crash just ahead of them. A black Mercedes had hydroplaned, flipped twice, and landed upside down. Other cars had slowed, looked, and kept driving. But Marcus had pulled over immediately, told 5-year-old Emily to call 911 and stay in the car, and run toward the wreckage without thinking. The Mercedes was already smoking, gasoline spreading across the wet pavement. Through the shattered driver's window, he'd seen a woman unconscious, blood running down her face, her body contorted at an unnatural angle. The smell of gasoline had been overwhelming. Marcus had known the car could explode any second, but he couldn't leave her there to die. He'd cut his hands on the broken glass pulling her through the window, burn them badly on the hot metal of the crumpled door frame, and drag her 30 feet away just as the first flames appeared. The explosion had come seconds later, a fireball that lit up the dark highway. Emily had been screaming his name from their car. The paramedics arrived 4 minutes later and took over, rushing the woman away. Marcus had refused treatment initially, more worried about Emily's trauma from witnessing the accident, but his hands had gotten infected and he'd spent 2 weeks in the hospital with second-degree burns. The woman had been in a coma for 3 days, the news reported. When she finally woke up, Marcus was already gone, discharged from his hospital and focused entirely on Emily, who'd been having nightmares. The burn treatment, the therapy for Emily, the bills piling up, he'd never followed up. Never got the woman's name. Saving someone's life was just what you did. You didn't stick around for thanks or recognition. But Emily had been there in the car that night. Emily had seen her face through the rain-streaked windshield, illuminated by the explosion. And Emily never forgot a face. Marcus's hand shook as he fumbled for his phone and dialed Victoria's extension. It went straight to voicemail. He ran back toward the executive floor, past the startled Rodriguez. "Marcus, man, you can't. I have to talk to her. Just 1 minute. Please." Rodriguez hesitated, then nodded. 1 minute. That's all I can give you. Marcus took the stairs 2 at a time, his heart pounding. Victoria was in her office, packing her briefcase with sharp, angry movements. She looked up as he burst through the door, her expression transforming into fury. "I told you to leave. Rodriguez, I want this man." October 17th, 4 years ago, Marcus said, breathing hard. Highway 101, around 7 p.m. There was a car accident in the rain. Victoria froze. The briefcase slipped from her hands and hit the floor with a heavy thud, papers scattering. Her face went completely white, all the color draining as if someone had pulled a plug. "A black Mercedes," Marcus continued, his voice shaking but gaining strength. "You were unconscious. The car was on fire. The gas tank was leaking. Everyone else drove past, but I stopped. I pulled you out through the driver's window. Cut my hands on the glass. Burned them on the metal. My daughter Emily was with me. She was only 5 years old. She called 911 while I got you out. The car exploded maybe 30 seconds after I pulled you clear. We saved your life." Victoria sank into her chair as if her legs had stopped working. Her carefully constructed mask of control shattered, revealing raw emotion underneath: shock, disbelief, recognition, and something that looked like pain. "You're him," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "You're the man. The hospital said someone pulled me out before the paramedics arrived, but when I woke up 3 days later, no one could tell me who you were. The police had no information. No witnesses came forward. I spent months trying to find you. I hired 3 different private investigators. I offered a $50,000 reward. Nothing. You saved my life and disappeared like a ghost." "My daughter needed me," Marcus said simply. "She was traumatized from watching the accident. And the burn treatment, the hospital bills. I couldn't stay and wait around. I had to take care of her. She's all I have. And now your daughter is sick." Victoria's voice cracked, tears spilling down her cheeks, breaking through years of carefully maintained control. She picked up her phone with trembling hands and made a call. "Dr. Richardson? This is Victoria Shaw. Yes, I know it's late. I need the best pediatric cardiac surgeon in the country. Tonight. I don't care what it costs. Money is absolutely no object." She looked directly at Marcus, her eyes red. "What's your daughter's name? Her exact diagnosis?" "Emily. Emily Chen. Mitral valve failure with cardiac enlargement. She needs surgery within 6 weeks." Victoria repeated the information into the phone, then listened. "Tomorrow morning? You'll fly here tonight? Thank you, James. I owe you." She ended the call and stood up slowly. "You just saved my life 4 years ago, and when you finally needed help, I accused you, fired you, and threatened to destroy what's left of your reputation." Fresh tears fell. "I'm so sorry. You didn't know. I should have listened. I should have seen." Victoria grabbed her coat and purse. "Where is Emily right now?" "St. Mary's Hospital." But Ms. Shaw, you don't have to. Don't. Victoria's voice was firm but gentle now, completely transformed. Don't tell me what I have to do. I've spent 4 years looking for the person who saved me when everyone else drove past in the rain. I built part of this entire company because I was given a second chance at life when I should have died, and I wanted to honor that gift by creating something meaningful. And when I finally meet the man who gave me that chance, I accuse him and throw him out. She wiped her eyes. Where are your car keys? I can drive myself. You're in shock, you haven't eaten, and your daughter needs you functional. My driver will take us both. Now,